Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today, making a video talking about something that I heard on yesterday's Wrestling Observer Radio. I was listening to the show, and honestly, they were sort of giving a little bit of a recap of everything that was going down, and they were going over what the bar was going to do at Wrestlemania. And as of right now, Dave Meltzer says that there is no plan for the bar at Wrestlemania. And basically, Brian was doing what he does. He tries to delve a little bit, asking questions into Dave, trying to see if he can get a little bit more out of him. And, he said, well, are they going to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? And Dave said no. And Brian kept pressing the issue, basically saying, all right, these guys are the, world tag team champions of the Monday Night Raw brand. The show is 8 hours long. There's nowhere that you can put the bar. And Dave just kept saying no. And then Dave said that maybe they can find some skits or something for them to do backstage. And Brian was pushing the point, basically saying that how in the world are you going to have these guys doing skits and basically not being out there and being one of the best tag teams there is today. I understand that I'm going a little bit off the ledge, but for somebody who's been listening to the Wrestling Observer since 2010, basically there's times when Dave just comes out and says, this is the news, this is what's going to happen, and tells you everything. There's times when Dave honestly does not know what is going on and will tell you, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see at the pay-per-view, and we'll see what goes down. And then there's those times when Dave just flat out works you. Sometimes maybe it's because he wants to, sort of help WWE protect a big surprise. Sometimes he wants to make sure the facts are right before they come out and doesn't want to just throw some wild guess out there. But from somebody who's listened basically to Dave over these past 8 years, I think something's fishy about this story about the bar. And it's not really a story because, it only became one because Brian kept on asking these questions. In my opinion, there's a storyline about the bar, saying that there's no one in WWE that can stack up to them. Over the past few weeks, we've seen Titus Worldwide. We've seen the Revival. We've seen all of these teams step up to the plate and not be able to do anything. Obviously, they are setting the plate for somebody to come into WWE and basically take down the bar as some sort of a big surprise. I can't think of anybody that out there that they would make sort of a singles tag team out of, much like, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, or Sheamus and Cesaro where basically they didn't have anything for two guys, so they just put them together and said, you guys are a tag team, go out there and figure out how to do this from here. Somebody from outside of the WWE has to be coming into WWE to make this spot. In my opinion, I think that the last people that have signed to NXT would be War Machine. For there to come in right from Ring of Honor and go to the main roster, I think that is a possibility. But because of the news of them being signed and sort of making it seem like they're going to the Performance Center and then going to NXT, I think that is a really big possibility. Obviously, something's going to come down, whether if it's the two big dudes in NXT, the Authors of Pain, out there with Paul Ellering, maybe Sanity. And, I'm going to throw this wild card way out of left field, and I don't really think this is going to happen, even though I want it to happen. If I remember right, I always thought that the Young Bucks contracts always came up in December. But maybe, they were, wrote a little bit differently or anything like that. But for anybody like, TNA or ROH, to let a contract for anybody who's considered a mid to major star, for their contract to come up, in the month of March or April, that's almost like, how WWE kept on having Brock Lesnar's deal come up, right at WrestleMania time, where then basically, because of the fact that he's in the main event, he pushes them to the point where he gets another big contract because they don't want a contract dispute around the time of WrestleMania. I think it's a possibility the Young Bucks could come in and fill that role. Obviously, if they're under contract, they can't do it. But we all know that whether if it's, from guys like Gallows and Anderson or Finn Balor, a lot of people like the Young Bucks. They really think that they will fit in with WWE. I understand one of the things that they don't really want to jump on is having to go to NXT, having to move to Florida, have to be on the road consistently. I've been looking at a lot of guys' schedules because people post them on Twitter now, basically saying what shows they're going to be at. And I was looking at the Hardys, well, not the Hardys, but Matt Hardy's bookings, and it basically looks like Matt Hardy works 4 to 5 days on most weeks and is home for 2 of them. 2 of those days are travel days. You have to get home from where you are, and then you have to leave where you are to get to that next show. It doesn't really leave you a lot of time. I think that's going to be the one thing that's working against the Young Bucks wanting to go to WWE. Obviously, they have everything going for them at Pro Wrestling Tees. They've got their own Young Bucks merch store. They're able to work for Ring of Honor. They're able to work for New Japan. And I believe they're able to take like outside bookings like PWG. And so we'll have to see what goes down with this. Obviously, something has to happen with the Bar. They have to have a match, in my opinion, at WrestleMania. They're too good not to. Both of these guys, whether if you're just talking about them as a tag team or as single stars, there's something for them to offer at WrestleMania.